Giants beat the Las Vegas Raiders 23-16 at MetLife Stadium. They improved to 3-6 on the season. For me, it's more painful than it is sweet, just because the likelihood is that they will not be making the playoffs. I don't think I'm going out on a limb and saying that. And there were a lot of missed opportunities for this team earlier this season, a lot of tough losses consistently. So this to me is not much of a surprise. They're going to win some games. They're going to lose more than they're going to win. But yeah, this is still a situation where the overall feel for me still isn't great. I think the Raiders had many of opportunities to win this game. And sometimes the statistics don't tell the whole story, but the Raiders outgained the Giants yardage 403 to 245. First downs 24-16. Giants really couldn't do much of anything through the air, but there were some very key turnovers. The Giants won the turnover battle. It was really key. It was a key pick six for Xavier McKinney. McKinney also had another interception, and the game was sealed on a fumble on the last drive for the Raiders, where Quincy Roche sacks Derek Carr and Leonard Williams recovered that fumble. Roche's actually been a pretty good find for the Giants. He seems to be making plays when he's in there. He was someone who they got through waivers after preseason cuts. But the Giants win. It was a tough week for the Raiders, obviously, with Henry Ruggs and that whole situation where he was driving, I think, like 140, 150 miles per hour. Under the influence, he had a gun in the car, and unfortunately, it resulted in death. And so we'll never see him play football again, I wouldn't think. But, the Raiders, with all that being said, they came into MetLife and defensively, the Giants had their best drive of the game, the first drive. And it was a 30-yard touchdown by Daniel Jones to Evan Ingram. And that was really, Daniel Jones only threw for 110 yards. That Ingram 30-yard play was really probably the biggest play that they had, in the air. And so that made it 7-0. But the Raiders responded immediately with their own 10-play, 73-yard drive, and capped off by a touchdown from Derek Carr to Hunter Renfrow, 2 yards. Josh Jacobs was running the ball pretty effectively at this point. And then when Kenyon Drake came in the babies, Jacobs was hurt. He was a bit in and out. Drake was doing a lot more, I guess, receiving than as a runner. But the Raiders tied up at 7. And then still in the first quarter late, Daniel Jones gets sacked and fumbles. Matt Peart gets beat. It's a strip sack, and the Raiders recover it. But what would happen was the Raiders would settle for 3. They would get to the Giants 6, but Daniel Carlson hits a 25-yard field goal. That 25-yard number we'll get back to later in this episode, but that would make it 10-7 Raiders, and that was just the beginning of the Raiders not doing enough, not getting the touchdowns that they needed. And it stayed 10-7 until the second quarter when the Giants put together a nice drive and Graham Gano hits a 35-yard field goal. So it ties it up at 10, but then the Giants do what they do best, and that's give up points at the end of the half. Carr was finding Jalen Richard for a couple of plays. Darren Waller makes a 20-yard catch, and they eventually get the ball deep into Giant territory, but they settle for the field goal, a 32-yard field for Daniel Carlson. So that makes it 13-10 Raiders at half. It felt like, again, another missed opportunity for them, and the Giants were kind of just hanging on. To start the second half, third play of the half, actually, Raiders get the ball first, and Xavier McKinney gets a 41-yard interception return for a touchdown. Gives the Giants a 17-13 lead. This is a very pivotal play in the game, probably the play of the game, as the Giants didn't really do a whole lot offensively, but that was a really big play. Makes it 17-13. And then the Raiders put together a really long drive, an 85-yard drive, goes 8 minutes, but they only get 3 points. So after all that 15-play drive, a lot of good plays, a lot of, third down conversions. There was even a fourth down conversion. But Daniel Carlson, again, interestingly enough, 25-yard field goal. Makes it. So that cuts the lead to 1. So 17-16 Giants at this point. But then the Giants march right back down, and they get a field goal of their own. And Devontae Booker had a pretty good game. The Raiders are not good at stopping the run. And Booker, a former Raider, was on the Raiders last season. He did well. I think he ended up with 99 yards. He actually got hurt at the end of this game and was taken out. The Giants have a bye next week, and Saquon Barkley should be back anyway. So we'll see what Booker's status is. But the Giants end up getting a field goal. So the teams are trading field goals, and so it's 20-16 at this point. We head, and this is at the beginning of the fourth quarter. So now that we're in the fourth, the Raiders put together what seemed like a pretty good drive, and Kenyon Drake was a key part of this drive. And it ends up being a situation where it's 4th and 3 at the 7. So you're thinking, okay, another missed opportunity, another field goal. No, Daniel Carlson misses a 25-yard field goal. This would be pretty critical. So that keeps the Giant lead at 20-16. The Giants would punt. So the Raiders get the ball back down 4 with about 6 minutes left. Derek Carr gets picked off by Xavier McKinney again. So the Giants have the ball at midfield with about 5 minutes to go. And Elijah Penny has a couple of nice runs taking over for Booker. And it was a very conservative drive for the Giants as they settled for 3. And that could have come back to bite them, the fact they weren't more aggressive. But maybe they know their limitations. Either way, it makes it 23-16. And the Raiders looked like they were bound to tie it up. Although in my mind, it just felt like the Giants were going to win this game. And maybe that's just me, sort of knowing that, well, the Giants don't really need to win. So, yeah, they'll win this one. That's kind of what happened. The Raiders end up 2nd and 10 at the Giant 13. Like I said, it was the sack by Roche. Carr fumbles, Williams recovers, and that's the ball game. Giants win at 23-16. They win their 2nd straight game at home. So, there was a lot of talk, obviously, about their struggles at MetLife Stadium. They've kind of rectified that lately. And now they head into the bye 3-6. Again, playoff chances extremely minimal. I mean, I guess that last wild card spot is kind of up for grabs in the NFC. It's probably going to go to a team that doesn't have a good record. I'm still of the belief that this is not a playoff team for many reasons. And it is frustrating. It is. Even after a win like this, I can't come on here and lie and be like, yep, this team's headed in the right direction. Like, this is going to be the win that where they turn the corner. I just don't see that. I see this as just, a solid win in a season where there's going to be, more losing than winning. But Giants win it. Give them credit against, a pretty good Raider team, decent team. And now they head to the bye week, and coming out of the bye will be another Monday night road game against the other Super Bowl finalist, the champion, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So that's going to be a tough test against Tom Brady. The Giants have played Tom Brady, of course, well over the years. Just and not even talking about the Super Bowls. Just even last year, they played on Monday Night Football at MetLife Stadium, and that was a close game. So they may not get destroyed. The Giants should get healthy with this off week coming up. So we'll see what happens. This is a well-timed bye because it really does split it up just about in half. It's a 17-game season. They've played 9 games, and now we'll see basically what the second half of the season brings for the Giants. Giants beat the Raiders 23-16.